A huge blow for Liverpool. Arne left stunned as Chelsea snatched victory in the final moments. 3 big stories in one video. Arne post-match reaction. Cody Gakpo's honest frustration. And that dramatic last-minute goal that broke Liverpool hearts. Let's go through everything one by one. First up, Arne Slot's full reaction from the press conference after that tough defeat. Estevao scored in stoppage time of the Premier League contest at Stamford Bridge to secure victory for the hosts. Cody Gakpo was on the scoresheet for the Reds as he netted an equalizer midway through the second half, cancelling out the early Moises Caicedo opener. But the points would end up in the hands of the Blues when Estevao converted from close range with 96 minutes on the clock. See what head coach Slot had to say in his post-match press conference. On the result, another disappointing loss. That's clear. Another game similar to the Palace game, although the game was completely different because the playing style of both teams are completely different. But not similar to the Palace game where in the first half I think we played not our best football but still were able to create 3 big chances. They've only had one and they've immediately scored it, which was completely different to the Palace game, where Palace created a lot of chances in the first half. And the second half performance, like in Palace, I liked. We've created more than enough chances to score more than one goal, last week and today. I think there was a period of the game where I felt, now we're going to win it. We came a lot of times very close with chances but also with moments where we had 4 versus 3 in our favor, not outplaying it well enough in the last pass. And in the last 10 minutes, it was an end-to-end game, both teams could have won it. We didn't and Chelsea did. On whether the team is still searching for balance. I think if you play the style we play, so a high press, and the style Chelsea plays, a high press, it would be a surprise if both teams, with the quality that both teams have, that they never play through your press, so that would be unrealistic. You go here to Stamford Bridge with them having 8 injuries, so you're like, this can be positive, then they probably don't have the options from the bench. But they did still have a few good options from the bench to impact the game. So it would be unrealistic to expect that if you play Chelsea, they want to play out from the back, that they never play through your press, as we played through their press as well. On Mohamed Salah and Alexander Isak building a connection. The more they play together, the more they will connect. I think that's what you saw in the second half already a little bit from the start, but especially after I had to take Ibrahima Konate off because he felt his quad. When Ryan Gravenberch started to play in that position, we were able to get our attackers much more in promising situations, much more than in the first half. For me, it wasn't the disconnection or the time we need for the forwards to do better. I think the first half was mainly that we had to be better in build-up, and that's what we did more and more in the second half, and that's why we created also so many good moments, chances and moments that we could have created much more. On how close he is to building this team in his ideal image. I think you are never close to your ideal. You have to work really hard to reach a certain level, and then it's very hard in football because you also play against very good teams to keep that level going, and what I mean with that is consistency. But it is clear we had our changes in the summer, players came in different moments. Last week there's hardly been any training time and still we need to try to bring these players in. If the result would have been better today with a draw or a win, which was both possible, I don't say we deserved it, a draw we definitely deserved, then we would have had a great start to the season if you take into account everything what happened in the summer at Liverpool. On rotating at centre back. How you can do this, that's not so easy to put someone else in. That's the way to rotate, but if I rotate against Galatasaray, people complain that I rotate. So yeah, it is a risk. We were just talking about Konate, he's playing 3 games now in 7 or 8 days with a 4.5-hour flight up and down. That's true. But that is the balance you need to find playing a tough game against Palace that play only long balls, and every corner kick is dangerous, so you need long and strong defenders. And I think if you play Chelsea away, you also need 2 centre-backs. But when we were 1-0 down, I took the risk, if you want to call it like this, to play with a midfielder as a centre-back. On Salah and whether the team is missing his cutting edge. That's then interesting. Did he create today so much because he didn't play during the week, or did he miss the chances because he missed a bit of sharpness that he could have had if he would have played against Galatasaray? We will never know. What I like is that we brought him many times in the position he would like to be in, and I would like him to be in, because he's shown in his career and since I'm here that in those positions he can score goals. And I think today he had many opportunities to do what he's done so often. But he is a human being and it's not like every chance he gets is always a goal. We feel sometimes it is because of what he's done last season and so many times. But he can also have a game where he has chances and a lot of times in promising positions and doesn't have a goal or an assist. Next, the dramatic ending, as Chelsea's stoppage time strike crushed Liverpool's hopes. The Reds recovered from Moises Caicedo's early opener at Stamford Bridge through Cody Gakpo in the second half. But the hosts would claim all 3 points with a finish from substitute Estevao deep into stoppage time of the final fixture before October's international break. Team. With Alisson Becker injured, Georgi Mamardashvili made his Premier League debut and was one of 5 changes to the lineup deployed at Galatasaray in midweek. Connor Bradley, Alexander Isak, Alexis Mac Allister and Mohamed Salah were the other players brought in. Liverpool, Mamardashvili, Van Dijk, Konate, Jones, 55, Kerkez, Robertson, 55, Szoboszlai, Isak, Ekatike, 74, Mac Allister, Endo, 86, Salah, Bradley, Wirtz, 46, Gakpo, Gravenberch. And used subs, Woodman, Gomez, Chiesa, Frimpong. First half. Despite an encouraging start, Liverpool found themselves behind in the 14th minute. Caicedo spun past Mac Allister and then decided to drive towards the penalty area, choosing to strike at goal just on the outskirts. The Ecuadorian's right-footed drive flew into the top corner, leaving Mamardashvili with no chance. A quick response from the Reds nearly came when Dominik Szoboszlai got on the end of a Gakpo cutback, only for Benoit Badiashile to get in the way of the midfielder's side-foot effort. Past the half-hour mark, Gakpo then created another opportunity, this time for Milos Kerkez, who opted to square in search of Salah instead of firing at goal from a tight angle. Alejandro Garnacho was inches away from doubling Chelsea's lead as he clipped the post after the ball made its way to him on the edge of the box through a short corner routine. After Garnacho had a penalty appeal turned down by the referee in VR, Isak then headed over from a Salah cross in the final chance of the opening period. Second half. Florian Wirtz was introduced at the break in place of Bradley, who had been cautioned in minute 34. The German was involved immediately and produced a brilliant flick that put Salah through on goal. The resulting finish from the Egyptian found the wrong side of the net, however. With both sides making personnel and tactical changes, the game grew more open as opportunities came the way of Salah, Garnacho, and Pedro Neto. The next one fell to Liverpool and was converted by Gakpo. Szoboszlai, now playing at right back, sent a cross into the area from the touchline and it was nudged on by Isak through to the goalscorer, who poked home from close range to set up a fascinating final half-hour. Mamardashvili stepped up with impressive saves to deny Jamie Gittins and Estevao in quick succession, with Szoboszlai going close at the other end following a counter. Enzo Fernandez's header from an Estevao delivery struck the post before Curtis Jones fired over, and there was still time for a final chance. Marc Cucurella sent in a first-time cross that was met at the back post by Estevao, who converted to snatch victory for the hosts. And finally, Cody Gakpo's emotional confession, "We just weren't good enough." The Reds were beaten for a third game in a row in all competitions, and for the second successive week in the top flight by a stoppage-time concession at Stamford Bridge on Saturday. Gakpo's finish soon after the hour mark had equalized Moises Caicedo's ferocious opener, but Estevao was on target from close range at the very end to consign Arne Slot's men to a loss that followed defeats versus Crystal Palace and Galatasaray. The goalscorer reflected on the match and the champions' recent form, speaking to Sky Sports post-match. Read the Q&A below. On his immediate thoughts about the game and losing late on. Difficult. Obviously we played against a very good team. First half, they scored an amazing goal. But I think it was leveled. Second half we fought really hard to make the equalizer. I think we played a little bit better maybe than them in the second half, but they were very dangerous on the counterattack as well. Then to concede in the last minute again is hard to take. On the Reds losing momentum after he equalized during the second half. Yeah, I think somehow we couldn't keep the momentum. We have to analyze it to know how or why. After the goal we had the momentum. I think if we kept pushing at that time maybe we could score the 2-1, but somehow we lost a little bit the momentum. They gained strength again and they pushed us back in the counters. They were very dangerous on them and scored the winning goal in the last minute. on whether confidence and form is missing for Liverpool at the moment. I don't want to say low on confidence, but I understand what you mean.
At this moment of time, things don't fall our way, where maybe 5 games ago they did fall our way and then we go away with the win. But unfortunately, this is also part of football and we have to take it with our chest and keep on fighting, because we know the quality we have with the players who were here last year and the new players we brought in.
We have to just keep pushing on the importance of dealing with scrutiny and staying together as a squad. That's the most important thing.
Obviously, when you play at a club this big, it's normal when you lose 2 Premier League games in a row, and also the Champions League game in between, that's not good enough.
We know that as players without even looking at the outside. We are very much aware of the situation we are in and we know what to do. We have to go back to winning ways. That's why we will train and analyze and do our best again.